I don't know if this news that came out today, really early in the morning, had an adverse effect on the day I had, but I'll just speak for myself. Today has been one of the shittest days I've had in a really long time. It's been dull, it's been grey, it's been dark. We've been at each other's throats, which is very rare, but when it does happen, it sort of takes the life and joy out of everything. And, this was just a level on top of that as well, which made the day even worse. I found out that Chadwick Boseman had passed away like 3, 4 in the morning, basically as soon as it got put out, because I was editing the video from yesterday. And, my heart sort of did sink a little bit. And it's a really, really horrible thing considering how young the guy was, He's the type of person who, he was 43 and it's super young. It's way too young to be taken from this planet, but he'd get the calls of like, hey, he's like 30 years old. It's the opposite for me. I'm 25, 24, and people would just say, oh, he's like 30 years old. It's not really the best. But he had the opposite, where people always thought he was super young because he just had that liveliness about him. Whenever I saw an interview with him, he was always super stoic, but he was funny and free. And most people just don't have those things in them. To some people, it's innate, and to others, it's not. To some people, they learn that, and it just feels really odd. But to him, whenever he came across, he was super genuine in whatever he talked about. People would disagree with certain things he said, I guess, but, he was genuinely a nice guy. He did have that type of feeling, and he emitted those types of vibes, and I'm pretty sure that's why everyone has basically come together here and been like, this guy was like the best guy ever. Apparently it was stage 4 colon cancer, and he'd had it for years, nearly half a decade. And to me, that's almost unbelievable that he managed to do what he still did in the last 5 years of his life, considering those were the years where he made a huge change in the world, the years where he had this horrid condition. And I'm sure he would have had it before then if he got diagnosed prior to that point. So, the guy changed the world in a small way, even if it was, and he gave people, not to me, but to a lot of people, he gave them a hero to look up to. And if you can change the mind and the perspective of one person in your life, or he achieved things most people just can't or choose not to do. He achieved things more so in his, 20 years of adulthood than most people achieve in their entire lives, put together with 100 other people. Like, he made an active change in the world. Apparently he was a super charitable person as well, which just makes this even more like, there are really bad people in the world, and then there are good people. And for some reason, it seems like the good ones just get gone. I know the bad ones get gone too, but it's sad. I know that some people only know him as Black Panther, like King T'Challa, but he had a lot of very, very important roles. Like, I'm just going to go through a small list here, because he didn't act in that many movies overall. He had some TV stuff before he basically started going into films, but some of them really stand out to me. Like 42, which is where he played Jackie Robinson. I'm not a baseball guy, but I remember watching that film recently, actually. And the film itself was really, really good. His performance was different. It was unique. I'm not sure I exactly fell in love with him in this role, but he always took chances in the movies he was in. He always made a choice. And that might rub some people the wrong way with how he chose to act in this one. To me, it did. I didn't love the portrayal, but he always took the risk. And when I look at the next couple of films, Draft Day is a film which I think is underappreciated, but I think he stood out in that one a lot. Kevin Costner, who is about the draft in the NFL. Then there's Get On Up, where he played James Brown. I mean, probably my favourite performance of his ever. Well, I'll get to the one which I might actually be the favourite. But Get On Up was a very, very well done movie, and he was incredible in it. And that alone apparently got him the Black Panther role. Signed, sealed, delivered. Kevin Feige was like, this is the guy. And they chose right. I mean, I think in Civil War, T'Challa was maybe the best character in Civil War. I think that was the best portrayal of him out of all the stuff. I think he was better in Civil War than he was even in Black Panther, because Michael B. Jordan was just incredible in that. And I think he sort of took away some of the prestige of Black Panther because Michael B. Jordan was so good in that role. And then there was Infinity War and Endgame, but I think Captain America Civil War was the film which made me be like, damn, this guy is an actual beast. Not that much screen time, but you remembered everything that happened with him in that film. And the film which is up there probably with Get On Up is Marshall. If you don't know, it's a historical film, I guess. Again, the guy takes risks. He put his heart on the line in his performances. And it's something which most people in life, not even in acting, in life, they won't do it. They won't take a chance. They won't do that thing they've been saying they're gonna do. Man, this guy's 43 years old. He's young. He's young. Like, it's weird to say he could have had another 43 years, but that was the time he had on the planet. But there was so many things he did in that time he was here. And he inspired, a generation of people, multiple generations. Black Panther is an iconic character. And he gave people, to some degree, an outlet to be like, I can be a superhero too. While I think, in my opinion, race shouldn't be a factor in that specific thing. Like, you should be able to watch anything, in my opinion, and take something from it and be empathetic towards it and understand the situation that these characters are in terms of movies and TV shows. And race shouldn't really hold, a flag over that. It shouldn't be a flag bearer. It shouldn't have an effect on those things. But to some people, they view it as him being the guy that inspired them. And I can't take that away from anyone. Like, he had a profound effect on millions, maybe even tens of millions of people of all ages. So it's tough. I remember there was a picture that came out about 3 months ago, and he looked really bad in it. He looked really, really bad. And some people were saying that he was preparing for a role and he was fasting. And that's why he looked so gaunt and just super slim and sick. But I didn't really buy it. Like, I've done fasting over the last couple of years of my life intermittently. Like, sometimes, I do intermittent fasting, but sometimes I'll fast for like a couple of days at a time, a week maybe. That's not the same thing. Like, you'd have to fast for like 2 months to get to that point. And he looked sick. He didn't look like he'd been fasting. He looked like he was ill, and apparently that was the case. The guy kept it under wraps. People are different. The guy didn't want people to maybe, look at him in a different way. He didn't want the hand around his shoulder, maybe. He didn't want the arm there. He wanted to do it on his own. He wanted to do it on his own terms and not have that lingering thing over his head of, oh, they're just doing this because I'm ill, or they're just helping me because I have these problems. It's incredible. I don't know if Marvel knew at the time that he had this condition. I don't know if Marvel knew back in 2015-16 when he was cast as Black Panther, if they knew. I'm gonna throw this out there. I don't know if this is fact. I don't. But when there are these huge budget roles now, people have like health MOTs. Like, it's just how it works. When a footballer gets a transfer and it's for a lot of money, even a small amount of money, they have full medical checks. It's how it works. For these films, I'm pretty sure it is the same. When you're talking about hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, maybe it was actually him getting the role for Black Panther. That's what showed that he had this potential condition. I don't know. But if they did know and Marvel decided to still give him the role, then that's an incredible thing on their part, because that is You're throwing caution to the wind and you're just saying, you know what, we're going to go with it. This is the guy. He can do it. We know he can do it. And he gave it his all. He was relentless, really, if you think about it. If he did all the things he did under those conditions, and he did all the things for other people that he did under those conditions, it speaks to him as a person. It speaks to probably how he was raised. If anything, it shows you get health checks. You don't know. You don't know when it is that it's gonna just take you away. I guess with the C, you know, not the coronavirus, the cancer, you have a idea of being like, it's getting worse, it's getting worse. But some people just aren't diagnosed. Some people have other problems and they never find out about them. And then it's like, oh, they died of this. And it's like, what? It's like, yeah, there are all these signs and you don't see the signs because you're around the person all the time. And you sort of just be like, oh, that's just how they are now. But then you look back and you're like, that's not how they were 6 months ago, though. So yeah, just live your life, man. He lived his life to the fullest, absolute fullest, man. As I said, he did more in his lifetime than 10 lifetimes put together, potentially. So hopefully he can be like a figurehead. Hopefully he can be that type of person where people look at and say, do what he did. Do what he did. Live your life to the max and see where it gets you. Because even with all that adversity that he had to face and deal with physically and mentally, he still did what he did. And nothing but respect for that. Obviously, all the best to his family and friends. It's not an easy thing to go through at any point in life. I've said it before. It's not something that's simple to deal with, especially at the age he left. But just look back at the good times, at the times where you laugh and joke and smile and take solace in that, because you know that if you believe in heaven and hell, then he's definitely in the better place, I would think. I'm just thinking about him in Get On Up right now, so rest in peace, man.